Hi there, I'm Dean Heskin, President and CEO of Swiss America Trading Corporation, and you are tuned into our podcast, The Secret War on Cash. We take a good look at some of the changing things or developments that are taking place in our financial markets, globally, domestically, the economy, things of this nature. I have with me today my co-host, we're almost with each other every time, but Chris Agelastos. Chris, how are
Yeah,
you today?
doing great. I was thinking we're practically married at this point,
That
at, at least on this podcast.
we are definitely you are my podcast wife, so that is a fact. Um, well, we talked about in a couple podcasts ago, we were talking
Yeah.
about the soon to be Trump administration that will be taking over. And one of the things that we were discussing is just how really, from my perspective and my recollection anyway, more so than any president that was, looking to take over the office,
Mhm.
he's already out there doing things.
Yeah.
And having like serious communication and conversations with various world leaders and things of that nature. Specifically, he right away was talking about how he's going to, with the BRICS nations, if they don't start taking US dollars and using US dollars again, he's going to be hitting them with huge tariffs and things of this nature.
Yeah.
And there's other things that have been happening where, I mean, he's having like some really grown up, serious discussions with people.
Mhm.
And so let's get like this first article here. Let's take a look at it. Trump versus the deep state. So that's what is kind of interesting. And I think I would even go as far as to say, Chris, a little unique to the Trump administration, his previous term and
Mhm.
now what it looks like is developing here. It just seems like, it is Trump versus everyone during his administration
Yeah.
and versus the deep state. And it again, it just seems that, and I don't think anybody, especially those who are more conservative minded, um, has any problem. In fact, they probably enjoy the fact or appreciate the fact that Trump versus the deep state.
Mhm.
But it's crazy to me just how, like, I mean, it is guns on from the word go, and even kind of before the word go. So Trump versus the
Yeah.
deep state. Tell us what that means and what is that going to look like?
Yeah, I mean, so the deep state, right? Because we hear that term all the time, and I was thinking, okay, I mean, is there, what is, I don't know if there's like an official definition or like a list of people, who is the deep state? It's not that simple, but really, what it is between the different government agencies and media outlets, corporations, and the people inside those organizations that don't view things the way Trump does, or they want to do things, the way they've been doing them, and he wants to go in and shake things up because that's what he's been talking about in all of his campaigning and through his first term was clearing out the swamp, right?
Hmm.
And so
Drain
these
the drain
companies
the
and
swamp.
yeah, that's right, drain the swamp. And so these agencies and these people within there sort of doing whatever they can to be disruptive, and maybe undermine his policy. A lot of people feel like they did that with the COVID lockdowns in 2020, and his vision for what he wants America to be, and for all those that voted for him, is maybe quite a bit different than the deep state, and people are in the public are just financially, worn out and frustrated with the pain of inflation and the problems that we've seen in the economy since COVID. And the economy is it's like a big ship, right? And it's been, or at least most of the country, or a large portion of the country, would say that that ship has been heading in the wrong direction as far as budgets and deficits and a lot of other political and social issues, right? And so he's campaigned on, I'm going to come in, I'm going to turn things around, I'm going to take a new course, and unfortunately, that just takes time. And while doing that, there are going to be some bumps along the way. And they're talking here about how, essentially the risk of recession is high because of where we are economically in this country. and the changes that he's going to have to make to right the ship are going to have a little bit of pain tied to them. So they're just saying that, essentially when recession risks rise and you have these sorts of issues come up, the Fed is probably going to have to slash rates because they don't have a lot of other options to them at this point. And that causes precious metals, specifically gold, to surge higher. And so they're just kind of warning people that, even though Trump is in office, right, the battle isn't over, and we can see that in the headlines and what a lot of the left news organizations have been pumping out there information wise.
Sure, sure. Well, and that kind of it's kind of a very good lead in into the next article here. Let's look at the headline. State Department scrambles to scuttle $100 million censorship network before Trump takes office.
Hmm.
Now, I I don't know if it's just me, Chris, but like the headline alone of this, which is very simple, very direct, like reeks of scandal and
Hmm.
like um maybe even kind of like illegal activity, if you will. I mean, I read
Yeah.
this particular headline in this article, and I don't know, to me, what flashed through my head, it's like very somewhat reminiscent of like Hillary smashing all of her laptops and servers and cell phones and all that stuff because just
Yeah.
destroy all the evidence. You don't do things like this unless you're concerned about getting caught or getting in trouble.
Yeah.
And it just speaks to like the fact that something like this exists and now is
Hmm.
because an administration that is coming in that likes to get to the bottom of things. They're doing this. Is this something that? Well, tell us a little bit more about the censorship network, and then when they say they're going to scuttle it, like what are they talking about?
Well, I think what this kind of reminds me of is what happened with Twitter when Elon Musk, took over and changed the name to X. And what happened essentially is he went in there and was able to kind of shine lights around and see what was happening during the last election. What kind of government involvement was there in social media in order to maybe manipulate the information that went out to people? And that helped to expose some of the things going on with this Global Engagement Center, the GEC, they call it. Again, $100 million was pumped into this, and essentially what they were found to be doing is discrediting and demonetizing outlets that they considered were spreading misinformation. But really, it was basically anything more right wing that they disagreed with. They were trying to quiet it and hush it. So it's a government agency that essentially is censoring the information that gets out to people. And for instance, with the Twitter files, like when Elon went in there, they found that this agency was creating blacklists of Twitter accounts that they said were tied to foreign disinformation campaigns, and they wanted Twitter to deactivate those accounts. So, who was on that list? The New York Post, Real Clear Politics, Daily Wire, The Blaze, Newsmax, One America News, to name a few. I mean, do you notice a trend there? It's all the conservative networks. They were going in there and trying to kind of hush them or quiet them and suppress the message. So, and
Unbelievable.
actually, despite all of these scandals, and again, a lot of people aren't talking about this. I mean, we're probably not going to see this on Fox News even anytime soon. But Democrats had been pushing to renew the budget for this program. But I think the goal really is to kind of hide it and sweep it under the rug. And certainly, nobody in the federal government is going to want to take responsibility or admit to wrongdoing. So maybe they're hoping it'll just go away. But if it does
Yeah,
go
they're
away,
trying to
it's
they're
good for
trying to
all of
smash
us.
it like a laptop. That's that's what
That's
I
it.
mean. It's
Yeah,
exactly what
that's
they're
right.
trying to do. And
Yeah.
it's just, and the thing is, and I don't know if those tuning in what their opinion is on it, but another, I mean, the news should be the news, and they should let that, make its way to whomever wants to listen to it or hear it, read it,
That's it.
whatever it is.
Yep.
But beyond that, $100 million, that's taxpayer money. So taxpayer money, the State Department is the one who's funding this. That taxpayer money was
Yeah.
spent to, we'll say, suppress the news. To me, it's crazy,
Yep.
and I would say somewhat criminal. And they're doing it
Yeah.
for reasons to create an influence other than what might otherwise be the natural influence or occurrence out there.
Yep. Yeah.
So it's unbelievable. One thing is for sure, I do believe when Trump takes office, he is going to have a very full plate of things to do.
Yeah.
And we'll be rooting for him, supporting him, hopeful that he gets the economy right, more right than it is today. We'll just put it that way. But
Yeah.
it looks like most everything that he's being handed over by this current administration is broken, and he's going to have a lot to fix. So,
That's the hard
if
part.
people want
Yeah.
to, people want to learn how to fix things for their own well-being, for their own household, Chris, how can they get some more information about how to do exactly that?
Yeah. Easiest way for most people is probably visit us online. That's www.swissamerica.com. You can also call us at 800-289-2646. And you can also send text to that number. So a bunch of ways to reach out to us. But the bottom line is just let us know who you are and what your concerns are, and we'll get some information off to you. We'll certainly include our latest newsletter, which has a variety of articles. But one of our most popular reports is the secret war on cash, talking about different types of bank and privacy issues and what's going on with our currency. And we'll have some suggestions in there as to how to protect yourself. Yeah, the big thing is really just get yourself educated on what's happening so that you can figure out the best way to protect yourself and move forward.
Fantastic. And I would encourage all of you tuning in and listening to this podcast, if you haven't called or visit us online, then please do so right away. It's worth your while. Forewarned is forearmed, as they say. And if you're not
Yep.
subscribed to this podcast, please do that as well, as we'd love to keep in touch with you and bring you more information like this in the future. So thanks, Chris. And for those of you tuning in, the only thing I would say is have a great rest of your week and look forward to seeing you again soon.
Thanks a lot. Take care.